Okay, and what's the screen share? All right, I'm gonna figure it out though. Um, oh, maybe I could change the display settings. Slide present review and slideshow.
On my phone, I can pin and make it bigger.
Yeah, now I could do that. That's fine. I was just trying to see if we could get it to just one slide, but it's not seeming to do it for some
Yeah,
reason.
no, I was hoping, and the way it is viewed on my projector is showing the one slide the way I would like for it to, but
Uh,
I don't. I'm
oh,
a
no worries. You can see
yeah.
it.
Okay, as long as everybody can see, then. No, I appreciate that though for helping me out. Okay. Good evening, everybody. Hello. I'm glad you could join me on this Sunday evening. Um, Today we're going to be talking about various ingredients that we can use in order to. Oh, there we go. In order to do some plant-based cooking, do it a little differently or a little better than what we have done in the past, and just my own. There you go. There we go. Just my own disclaimer. I'm just sharing a few of my personal experiences with you. So I am not a doctor, although we will be talking about how some of these things do affect your body in a positive manner. And then, so if you feel like you would like to have some professional advice, please go and consult a professional. And for any of these things to work, you must give your body some time. And then the body is meant to heal. Evidence of that is you are not sick every single day. If you were sick every day, then it would just be a part of our human lives. But since that is not the case, we're going to do everything that we can in order to keep ourselves on the up and up and to give our bodies what we need. Okay. Let me just. Oh, some beautiful greetings going on in the chats. A few hellos and all right. So says food as medicine, fuel, and information. I'm just going to give you a bit of background as far as how I think about food, and maybe this will help put some things into perspective as for what we're going to be talking about today and why we're going to be talking in the manner we're going to be talking in. So if we eat nutrient-dense foods, it can help keep our immune system in top tier condition. Nutrient-dense foods usually compose of foods that come straight from the earth. So your leafy greens, your berries, your melons, essentially your fruits and vegetables and your seeds and legumes. Okay. So the nutrients in food gives us the fuel to get through the day. So something important to remember, a lot of we hit something important for us to remember, we hit a ceiling most times throughout the day, and then our energy starts to decrease. It usually happens because of one of two things. Either we don't have enough rest, or we're eating some foods that is taking a lot of energy for our body to break them down. And when we run out of our, let's say, like energy to break down the food, or as we're using the energy to break down the food, our body lets us know that we need some rest. Okay. This helps me better understand what is required of me to consume, so I'm getting the best that I can get from my body at all times. I love food. If you know me, then you know that's a fact. But I've had to start switching my thought process around how I eat food and why I eat food, so that I could, like I said, give my body the best nutrients, the best minerals, so that it performs at its top tip peak shape. Okay. So we're going to start with just a few common spices, a few common herbs that you can find.
Yeah.
There we go. Inside of your pantry or cupboard. A lot of these things I use in multiple ways too. So, for example, cloves, they're very good for oral hygiene and they're an excellent parasite cleanser. Another way that I use cloves, I will actually go get whole cloves, chew them up in the morning, and as I'm like rinsing my mouth out with like coconut water, I will let it swish around my mouth and of course spit it out. It does amazing things for your oral health, as well as keeping, if you have any pain in your teeth or if you are having like any cavities or things like that, it can actually help alleviate the pain from those cavities. Star anise, very good with fighting bacteria and fungi, and is packed with antioxidants. Anytime I've been sick, star anise is always put into my tea because it actually really does help get rid of any bacterial infections, any fungi. And like I said, those antioxidants is what is going to keep you young. So, hello. Fennel seed. If you are having issues with your digestion, then you want to have fennel seed on your person. Helps with bloating, helps with constipation, and it helps with indigestion. Ceylon cinnamon. Yes, there are different types of cinnamon, but the best one I feel like, in my opinion, is the Ceylon cinnamon, and it helps with your heart health. I sprinkle this in my water frequently. I put it on my breakfast. Dishes. And I also utilize it actually in my toothpaste or when I am rinsing my mouth out with the coconut oil, sorry, coconut oil. And everyone is pretty familiar with turmeric, but turmeric is really good for reducing inflammation throughout the body, as well as a few other things too. But those are some of the most important, or I feel like some of the most important spices that you can have. And we take some of these for granted because they're in our cupboard or pantry all the time. And we just think that they add flavoring to our food. But in actuality, these things actually have quite a few health benefits. Okay. The next one that I feel like is super important, or next three, coriander also helps improve digestion, heart health, and can help you manage blood sugar levels very well. Something that also works very similar, but you can find it in its regular leafy form, is cilantro. Very similar to coriander. Both of them have very good effects or similar effects on the body. Okay. Allspice, another antioxidant rich spice, very antiviral and helps reduce inflammation. Black pepper is great for food absorption. I love black pepper, so I'm always sprinkling it everywhere, pretty much on a lot of my dishes, especially my salads.
So I got a question. Let me ask the question. Is it that you can use too much? Will that have a reverse effect? Because I love pepper too.
I'm sorry, say that one more time because you chopped up a little bit.
I'm sorry. A black pepper, is it ever a time that you can use too much? Because I like black pepper myself. Besides spicy foods, but black pepper, is it good if it's too much, or is there a certain amount that you just gotta make sure you take without it, being a reverse effect on you?
Okay. Too much of anything is not going to be good for the body, but it's not going to, too much won't harm you as far as like black pepper, because I've used it so much that, you can see it seasoning or coating up the food, but I haven't had any negative responses or effects when it comes to utilizing black pepper in huge amounts. So, yep. And I should have said that too. Feel free to interject at any time or ask any questions, or if you want to get familiar with something, please by all means come off mute or put it in the chat, and I'll definitely make sure I get to you. A favorite of mine of herb to cook with, cilantro is a heavy metal cleanser. So even if you do not like to cook with cilantro, you really don't like the flavor, I believe a few times a week, you should get some cilantro, put it in your water, sip it throughout the day. It is great for your kidneys, great for your blood. Parsley, excellent iron absorption, excellent for the kidneys. When I make my cucumber juice, I put some parsley in it as well. Man, my kidneys ain't never felt better, okay? And that's really good to do over an extended amount of time. Basil. Basil is really good for helping to lower your blood pressure. And there's magnesium. Magnesium is really good for you because it helps your blood vessels and muscles to relax. So if you are a person who works out a lot, basil might be good to keep in your water. Dillweed. Dillweed is very good for digestion improvement, helps reduces gas and toxins. And if you are looking for a cheese substitute or flavor of cheese substitute, like a herb, I can say like a herby cheese spread. I usually take avocado, salt, pepper it up, put some dill in it with some onion powder. Usually has helped me with my cheese cravings in the past. Okay. Tarragon. I throw this in my tomato sauces. If you have had a Tatted Food Therapist sloppy Joe, lasagna, or if you've had, I believe those are the two that I used it in the most. But yes, if you've had those two dishes, then you definitely had some tarragon and some sage. Sage is a favorite of mine. And you can grow sage in your home in water as well with no problem. All throughout the year, many of these you could grow in your home and they will actually sustain themselves in water. All right. And then the last one, like I said, fennel seed is really good for you, but the fennel bulb is really good to cook with as well. A lot of these I'll throw in my stews. I will throw in my sauces. I will throw in my soups. And then I will make broths out of a lot of these as well. So I can use it at a later time. If you are a person who likes salads, you can use a lot of these to make salad dressings fairly easy. If you got a blender, take some cilantro, some parsley, some basil, throw it into the blender. I will probably combine it with a little bit of, or some grapeseed oil. And for me, I would actually combine it with some sea moss too. Blend it up, add some water, salt, and pepper it up to your tasting. And then you have a salad dressing, and that's just the base. That's just the base. If you wanted to add something else to it, you could definitely feel free to do so. Okay. All right, and we're still on herbs to cook and heal. Bay leaves. I actually was very surprised at some of the benefits of bay leaves, but I started adding them to my teas more frequently now for the vitamin A, B6, which is your energy, and of course vitamin C, which is excellent for your immune system. But you can actually boil bay leaves down with some citrus meaning grapefruit, oranges, lemons, limes. Stand over the pot. Let the fumes get into your pores, get into your nostrils, breathe it in deep, like an antihistamine. If you're a hip hop lover, you know where that's from. But let that get into your system and it'll still do the same thing as if you were drinking it too. So if some of these things don't taste so good to you, you can still breathe them in. Or you could even be fancy and get like a showering net, put some of these ingredients into the net, let it hang under the shower, and as the shower is running hot, let those fumes get into your system as well, and they will have some good good effects on your health. Okay. The next
And
one.
also too, Clayton, I just wanted to join in and say that with Bailey's, I didn't realize until a few years ago that you actually have to like crack the stem to actually get the full benefits of the bay leaves. Because before I would just throw them in my soups or stews, but you actually have to crack the little stems in the leaves.
Yeah, that is a fact. That is definitely a fact. So I'm glad. Thank you, Chef Sean, for throwing that in there. So the next one, which is a personal favorite of mine, are the sea vegetables. Sea vegetables, which are dulse, nori, sea moss, bladderwhack. I put bladderwhack in all caps because bladderwhack is simply amazing. If you are having thyroid issues, you want to use bladderwhack. Bladderwhack helps regulate the thyroid because it has the iodine, which the thyroid needs so that it can be super healthy. Rosemary, excellent for cognitive abilities. If you are a person who is struggling to remember things, or if you would like help remembering things, rosemary is very good and is very good for improving red blood cell production. You want healthy red blood cells because that is one of the ways that oxygen gets through. Oh, hold on. That is one of the ways that oxygen gets through your body. Your red blood cells are responsible for when you breathe the oxygen in, goes through your lungs. Your heart sits right in between your lungs. So that blood is traveling through the lungs so that it can be oxygenated. As it gets oxygenated, it travels around your body. People who have sickle cell, their oxygen or their red blood cells are not the proper shape. So their red blood cells don't move through their body as good and efficient as they're supposed to, and they don't hold on to oxygen as well as it's supposed to either. So rosemary would be something that would be really good for a person who's trying to, like I said, improve their memory, improve recognizing patterns, improve brain health, and improving your red blood cell production. If you've been on the other Zooms, you saw where we were talking about various herbs that were good for the blood too. This rosemary would be good in like conjunction with those herbs, such as the sarsaparilla, as well as the burdock root, okay? Another thing that I actually found the benefits of recently is thyme. Excellent cough suppressant. You can make a homemade cough syrup utilizing thyme, honey, and a little bit of lemon juice. I promise you too, you put that in the tea, you'll love it. All right, you will love it.
And one last thing is that I noticed that like Produce Junction and like the Asian supermarkets have the most inexpensive prices for these different types of herbs and whatnot.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And if you can find your farmers markets too, they'll usually be a lot less expensive than the regular grocery stores too. So definitely. So yes, the Asian markets, and what'd you say? Oh, and Produce Junction and any of your farmers markets would be great to find all of these things. Okay. And roots to keep you grounded, like I just talked about, burdock root is an excellent liver cleanser, excellent kidney cleanser. And you could cook this root, you could shred it up into your salads, or even shred it into your blended drinks. Okay. Ginger root. I keep this on me at all times of the year, every day. There's ginger root in my water. There's ginger root in, well, this is my apple juice, but there's ginger root in here as well. Excellent digestive aid. Excellent digestive aid. Also reduces inflammation throughout the body. I have taken ginger root, sliced it super thin, gotten a hot compress, put the ginger root wherever I needed the soreness to be relieved, put the compress over the top of it, lay down, relax for a little bit. It will relieve your soreness. Okay, it will relieve your soreness. Horseradish. I know a lot of people don't like horseradish. I happen to enjoy horseradish, but it's a great digestion booster. Provides sinus relief. So if you have any issues as far as your nose being stuffy all the time, or you feel like an elephant is on your head or your chest, horseradish will actually help get rid of some of that discomfort. Okay. And turnips. I have thrown turnips inside of curries, inside of soups, and I've also charred turnips too. But they're good for your bones, great for your heart. And a lot of people's favorite, beets. Great iron production booster. Okay. Great iron production booster. Oh, these are just a few pictures. All right. The top one is going to be the burdock root. The bottom one's going to be ginger root. And then that is a horseradish root. And then we also have beautiful beets there. All right. So the next portion of these this presentation is going to be showing you how you can incorporate some of these ingredients into recipes. So I'm going to give like a list of things I keep in my refrigerator, things I keep in my cupboard, and then some spices and seasonings that I use. Now, some of these things you can switch out if you are, completely vegan and you don't want to use honey. I did put other sweeteners up as well. For this list, I did stay away from processed sugar. And there aren't many processed foods. There are only a few canned foods that you're going to find on this list. Because like I said, I just wanted to show people different ways of cooking plant-based or cooking vegan while utilizing these things so that it can be good for your body. All right. I'm going to start with the fun stuff first, dessert. Okay. So for my desserts, I typically keep really date sugar, date syrup. I happen to enjoy honey, so I use honey pretty frequently, and then maple syrup. Things I keep in my refrigerator. You can find cans of coconut cream, okay? You can find cans of coconut cream. Yeah, it's one of my weaknesses too. Coconut milk. And some of these things are pretty easy to make. Banana date milk. Oh my God. If you can make banana date milk, you won't have to worry about sweeteners as much. Dry ingredients. If I'm baking something, spelt flour. Chickpea flour is extremely versatile. You can use it for savory dishes as well as sweet stuff. Okay. And as far as like spices or seasonings, vanilla bean paste is something that I keep on my person as well as cardamom, which is one of my favorite spices, and Ceylon cinnamon. And actually, Sean put me onto this black lemon peel. Oh my gosh. Especially if you're using some coconut cream.
Yes.
Yes, that stuff came in very handy. All right, so a few of the recipes, okay? And I will leave this up for a little bit too. So if you want to take a picture, please feel free to do so. I am working on being able to put up some of the slides on another platform so that people can have access to them too. So hopefully I'll have that figured out very soon. But until now, give you a few easy recipes. One is an apple crumble. I'll let you take a picture of this information, and I'm going to talk about how I utilize the apples in other ways and other forms too. So for an apple, for a dessert, what I will do sometimes is actually make some dough or go get some. They do have vegan pastries that you can buy as well. I'll fry up the apples like I would in this ingredient or recipe list, and then I will put them inside of dough. Most times that dough is usually going to be made from spelt. I've done buckwheat. I've also done teff flour and used it to make dough. And that way you still get the dessert feeling. If you want to use sugar, you can use coconut sugar. It does the exact same thing as regular processed sugar or white sugar without the same effects. But the thing to remember is, in order to make sugar, you do have to process something pretty extensively. So if you don't want to utilize something that's been overly processed, use agave to sweeten, use honey to sweeten. The cool thing about being plant-based nowadays is that you can use things like oat milk butter in order to give some texture to the things that you're cooking, or in order to get the flakiness of some pastries that you may have been used to before. Now, I am going to say this, it's not going to be the same as the other, it's not going to be the same as if you were using older ingredients like white flour, or if you were utilizing white sugar, or if you were utilizing regular butter. It will be slightly different, but that's okay. I do see some hands up.
Well, this is your namesake, or should I say your father. Are you going to make this available? You're going to send this out after you present this, sir?
I'm working on being able to put it up on a platform, but I can send the recipes. Or if you want, you can take a picture of it with your phone right now. Okay. That way you can have it right now, just in case I'm not able to figure it out in time.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir. Let me see. Okay. So I was asked, what are my thoughts on oat and almond flour? I love both of them. I've used both. Actually, I have it. I excluded it from this recipe, but I use oats for my crumbles as well. Oats are really good too if you are trying to be plant-based and possibly trying to, how can I say, maintain weight, because it's a starch or it's a carb, so it doesn't break down super easy. Okay. Almond flour, I think, or you said almond milk or almond flour, I think they're good to use as well. I trust almond flour that I make at home. I'm a little bit more extreme than most folks when it comes to ingredients in my food and stuff like that. So if I had the possibility to make it at home, then I would do so. But if you are going to buy almond milk or even almond flour, you want to make sure that you look at the ingredients list. Anytime you're buying anything, look at the ingredients list. And you want in that ingredients list for it to be almonds, water, maybe some guar gum, maybe some xanthan gum. I try to stay away from those as well because they'll coat your colon up. But you don't need anything else except for the almonds and the water. That's really it. But the same thing with any of the flours too. Just make sure your ingredients list reads what you want to have in your food. Okay. Oh, I still see another hand. Or is that still from before? Okay, cool. Another dessert recipe. This one's super easy. This one is super easy. When I'm having my little fat moments, probably late at night, this is one of my go-tos, so I'm not feeling super heavy. And this is probably why I keep coconut cream on my person or in my refrigerator. And you can make coconut cream at home. You can make coconut milk at home too. Like I said, if you have some time, get yourself a brown coconut. What do you call it? Crack it, peel the inside out from the shell. So pull the meat from the shell, literally chop it up a little bit more, put it into a juicer or put it into a blender, blend it down with a little water. If you're going to put it in the blender, blend it down with some water, strain it, coconut milk. After that, put it in the refrigerator. Leave it in the refrigerator for a few hours. You'll start to see the cream rise to the top. As the cream rises to the top, then you go ahead and put it inside, you scoop out the solid portions. And that is your coconut cream. But this is one of my go-tos, obviously, because you're getting fruit, so you're being hydrated. But you're also getting nutrients from fresh fruit. So as we talked about on the last live, you kind of can't get any better than fresh fruit. Okay. If you would like to make this a little sweeter, if you would like to make your coconut milk a little sweeter or your coconut cream a little sweeter, you can, as you're blending it, you can pour in either your agave, your honey, or your date syrup. Be careful not to pour too much because it will start to come out. You won't see the cream rise to the top when you put it into the refrigerator. It's not going to give you the desired effect, okay? And then it'll be like all syrupy and you have to find another way to use it instead of using it for this, okay? You can actually utilize, I should have said this too, for the apple crumble recipe, you can utilize you can utilize that for a peach cobbler recipe as well. Cook the peaches down, but the dough is going to be, or the mix is going to be a little bit more runny than what it would be if you were making a crumble, okay? But this is one of my go-tos. This is freaking delicioso. Very, very, very good, okay? Here we go. So breakfast subs, things that I keep on hand. When I do eat breakfast, I usually am having some kind of chickpea, some kind of quinoa, or usually some kind of, yes, coconut cream. Canned aki has been amazing. I found some canned aki when I was in, out here we have a Acme, and Acme is located in a pretty, what do you call it, diverse area. So they had some canned aki, which was amazing. And a lot of these things too, I will say this again throughout the live. You can find these ingredients at Wegmans. You can find them at Whole Foods. You can find them at Mom's. Our Mom's is going to be a little pricey. It's going to be a little more pricey than most things. But you can also find them at some of your local stores. Sometimes your shop right near you might have a vegan section or a health and wellness section or a health food section. Check out that section. See what ingredients are there that you can sub out versus using regular flour. Try either spelt flour or Tef flour, or instead of using regular sugar, see what the coconut sugar looks like. And the common misconception with a lot of these things, and I am going to say this now, is that these things are super expensive. Most times these things are more expensive than your regular ingredients you've been buying. Now, what is expensive when it comes to eating vegan, plant-based, or even vegetarian are the snacks or the processed foods, the foods that have to sit in the freezer all the time. Those are going to be expensive. The ready-made meals are going to be very expensive, okay, because it takes more things to preserve that food because it's usually fresh. So stores got to compensate for that by selling it at a higher price, okay? Fresh fruit is always a go-to for me in breakfast. If you've been seeing me on Instagram, you see I've been talking about eating fresh fruit first thing in the morning. Coconut, flax, and hemp milk, must have for me. And mushrooms too for breakfast. If you've seen my Instagram as well as my YouTube, you've seen me make some maple mushroom patties that look like sausages, like the Jimmy Dean ones. Okay. And I've also made them from walnuts too. Okay. And let's share a recipe. All right. So breakfast sub recipes. Okay. Coconut quinoa porridge. This is probably one of my most delicious breakfast creations. I am claiming this one. Okay. The ingredients, obviously, 1 cup of quinoa. You do need coconut cream. I usually use a ripe banana. So if you have a ripe banana that you don't want to eat, this is a great way to incorporate it so that you still get the sweetness. Ripe bananas are extremely sweet. So if you want another sweet substitute or even another binding agent, bananas are very good to keep on hand. Okay. All right, let me check something real quick, please.
I have a quick question. Why are you substituting oatmeal? Is
So
this your personal preference or?
personal preference for a few reasons. One, quinoa has more protein than oatmeal. For people who are worried about having so much protein, quinoa would definitely be something that you should eat, and it's going to break down a lot better than oatmeal because it's not as starchy. There we go. That's the main reason why I subbed out some of the oatmeal, eating oatmeal as frequently. I still do eat oatmeal.
Okay.
I still do eat oats or utilize oats, but for the most part, I substitute my quinoa. And actually, for breakfast, I will also, if I want something like grits, I will substitute grits for this thing called fonio. Okay, let me see you.
So oatmeal would be in line with like pastas for you.
Yes, or grain.
Okay. Okay, they're just too heavy.
Mm-hmm. So,
Okay.
so if I am trying to like bulk up or put more weight on, I would eat oatmeal a few times a week. But if I want to like, get more lean, more cut, but still maintain my energy and my strength, then I will eat quinoa. Nowadays, I lean more towards the quinoa. So, cool. People on Instagram, it's good to see y'all. We're gonna keep it rolling. All right. So, with this, one of the things that I do inside of the pot is where I mix, after the quinoa is cooked, I will mix in the coconut milk as well as the banana, as well as any seasonings or maple syrups or sweeteners that I would like, so that by the time I take the porridge out, it's ready to just eat. You could even take this a step further, and I put on the bottom, you can add some honey fried apples or agave fried apples or date syrup fried apples, however you would like to say that, and granola to the porridge to take it to another level. Okay. If you want to get super fancy, and let's say you got one of them little torches that they have in the kitchen, put a little coconut sugar over the top of it and brulee it. That's what they call it. All right. But for me, what makes this really, really good is the ripe banana and the coconut cream. Okay. Ripe banana and coconut cream. And if I'm moving too fast as far as sharing the recipes, please let me know. I'll definitely go back. All right. Lunch subs. Things like I said, these are general things that I keep on hand. I usually always have some kind of flatbread, hearts of palm, not or palm. Pardon my misspelling. But hearts of palm, artichokes, chickpeas are pretty much a staple, chickpea flour. And of course, all my regular fruits, vegetables, seasonings that I keep. Chili powder is a must. Garlic powder is a must, as well as some salt, some pepper. All right, let's get to the good stuff. So recipe, burger patties. I recognize, me and Sean were having this conversation the other day, that I make a lot of patties. And if you have like pretty much the base of the recipe, then you can make a patty almost out of anything. Okay. One of the burger patties that I enjoy making the most is a mix between the minced mushrooms, cooked chickpeas, and if I really do have the time and I have them cooked down, then I'll have some chopped up walnuts that have been cooked down like ground beef. And I will combine all of those things together to make a patty. And of course, you can put that on a roll, you can put that on a bun. You could throw it over a salad. For a long time, especially when I was cutting out carbs, and trying to stay away from bread, I was pretty much making these patties and just putting them over big salads, especially with some avocados, some romaine, lettuce, tomatoes, onions. You could do it that way. And if you want, of course, blistered red skin potatoes always makes a sandwich taste much better. Let's see. So with this mix, as you are mixing these ingredients together, what's going to be important is how dense you want the mix. If you want the mix more dense, add more chickpea flour to the mix and less water or oil. If you want it to be, less dense, if you want it to be less dense, then add more liquid to the mix. Okay, give me 1 second. Yeah, so with the bread situation, because bread is something I still have to keep control over, because I'll sit here and butter up some bread and go to town on it myself. I don't really have a method except really just the self-control thing for me. I just had to really diminish the amount of bread I was eating, and then I had to stop buying it. That's what it had to be for me. I just had to do away with it altogether.
Now, what do you think about the naan breads and things like that? Was that just as carby as a regular hoagie roll, or how do you think that is?
So since it's thinner and not as fluffy, I don't think it's as heavy, the naan bread. But because I'm so greedy, I will eat about a good 3 or 4 of them daggone naan loaves, and
Me too.
it doesn't even out. So that's why, for me, the main thing I had to do was just really try to get self-control. I know a lot of people see me, when they see me and they're like, oh my God, you eat so good. Or, I too still have to be don't eat this. I'll tell myself now, this weekend, I've definitely had about 4 cakes that size, a couple cookies, and I definitely had some pretzel rolls. There we go. I had 3 pretzel rolls. That was just between Friday and Saturday. So we all have our moments, but I do think the hoagie roll is definitely more of a process to digest. Yeah, that's more of a process to digest than the naan. And most times naan is just flour, water. Sometimes in other rolls and breads, you got flour, water, yeast, soybean oil, or riboflavin, maltodextrin, a whole bunch of other stuff. So what I've found with breads, this was one thing that helped me too. The smaller the ingredients list for the bread, the easier for the bread is to digest, and it'll help you start diminishing the amount of bread that you consume. As you can see, for me, it is still an ongoing process. I just try to do the best that I can with a little bit of discipline I got. Okay. So we all trying to get the whole bread thing situated. Here's one really easy recipe as well. So I'm trying to keep it balanced where I do a pretty middle recipe and then one recipe that's very easy that doesn't take a lot of time at all. A mock tuna salad. And you can make this 2 different ways. You could do it with the chickpeas, which are a good sub. Of course, make sure the chickpeas are cooked. I like to make sure the chickpeas are tender, so that as I'm mixing it, it becomes a little mashed, a little mixed. I don't like it when it's all, for this recipe, I don't like when it's all everything is mashed up and mixed up. I still want some of the chickpeas to still be half and still be whole for texture purposes. So what I have found that has been a great recipe, using hearts of palm artichokes. If you got hearts of palm and artichokes, and those are very good they have a lot of fiber too. They'll clean your intestinal system out very nicely. But vegan mayo or mustard, I like mustard. I do not like mayonnaise. I've never liked mayonnaise. It's just never been a thing for me, even when I wasn't vegan. Relish, kelp flakes, so that you get the tuna or the ocean-like flavor, not a heavy ocean-like flavor, but a hint. And then Old Bay, salt, pepper, and some dill. Those are going to be what you want for those. I see a hand. What can I do for you?
Any reason why we're subbing the tuna?
Oh, so the tuna pretty much is just a sub for people who are vegan.
Oh, wait. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Vegetarians can have fish, just not vegans, right?
Yeah. So the vegans, most vegans like they do no animal products. So vegans don't even do
Okay.
meat. So like
Okay, gotcha.
yeah. So I do need to say that though. So if you see some of these recipes that are on here that have like honey in it and you are strictly vegan, not trying to offend any vegans, just trying to put all possibilities and arrangements up here so you can have full choice as to how you like to do your food. Okay. But yeah, so the hearts of palm and the artichokes will give you the tuna salad texture if you were used to eating regular tuna salad. Now, if you want to just eat, regular tuna salad, do your thing. This ain't that type of show. This is just, like I said, exposing people to various options. But yeah, this is a very easy recipe that you can use, okay? All right, here's a personal favorite. And this one, I'm going to spend a little bit of time on because I know a lot of people ask me, yo, what should I do if I'm trying to get away from chicken, especially like fried chicken? To be honest, my answer has been mushrooms. Now, not canned mushrooms, and then not mushrooms that you can smell. So if you're going to buy mushrooms, just like if you're going to buy fish, if you get a strong fish smell, do not buy the fish. If you're going to buy mushrooms and you get a strong mushroom smell, do not buy the mushrooms. Or they smell real funky, or if they're getting slimy, they're not fresh. A lot of people don't like mushrooms because they've had a very negative experience with buying bad mushrooms or being fed bad mushrooms. Because even if you cook the mushrooms, they're still going to taste bad. All right. So just keep that in mind when you are purchasing or frying up mushrooms.
Question.
Okay. Yes.
What type of mushrooms? Is it the bell? I mean, there's different, types of mushrooms.
Mm-hmm.
Which ones do you prefer that we utilizing at this time?
Oh man, use all of them.
Okay.
The reason I say all of them, I'll do it this way. So personal favorites for me: king trumpet oyster mushrooms, blue oyster mushrooms, enoki mushrooms, which is in this recipe right here that I use for the fried chicken. Portobello mushrooms. If you want to make something like steak-like and you want to sear it up real good, excuse me, portobello mushrooms are excellent for that. Excuse me again. If you can marinate your mushrooms too. Marinate them just like you would do your meat. That way, when you sear them up, they sear better. And then as you're cooking them, that moisture gets absorbed into the mushroom, just like it would if you was cooking up some delicious chicken and you just marinate it for a day. And you slap that thing on the grill and then all the juices is flying. You can do your mushrooms the same way. So if you had Tatted Food Therapist last summer, there was a grilled plate where we had some mushrooms that we were searing. Literally all it was salt, pepper, a little garlic powder that's been marinated with some grapeseed oil. You throw it into a high heat pan, let them bad boys sear. There you go. So when people are trying to get away from the meat, or when they're trying to figure out different subs for different textures that they're used to, I usually tell them portobello will be more like a steak. Your blue oyster mushrooms will be more like your chickens. Your enoki mushrooms could be more like your chicken too. If you want to do something like popcorn shrimp, but not have the shrimp, you can utilize lion's mane mushrooms, season them the same way, dredge them up, fry them if you would like, or throw them into the oven. They'll pretty much give you a similar texture and sometimes a similar taste if you know how to season them things up correctly. Okay.
And I have one question.
Yeah.
So I try to cook the mushrooms at the restaurant, but for some reasons mine don't stay as fresh. Do you have any tips on how to keep the mushrooms fresh?
So with keeping mushrooms, first thing I do when I buy them, I will rinse them. I try not to soak them because if you soak them, they'll absorb that water. Once you put them into the refrigerator, they'll get soggy if you leave them there too long. Now, if you're marinating them, that's going to be a little different. That's why I use the oil to marinate them. But inside of the refrigerator, in order to keep them, I try to keep them at the bottom of the refrigerator. I do keep them covered with like a few holes so that they can kind of breathe out. You don't want to let any moisture inside of the vessel that's holding them or wherever you're trying to store them. Because once moisture touches them, especially in the dark, they are going to get slimy. And then I try not to freeze them either.
So no Ziploc bags.
You could do Ziploc bags. And I would keep a like a paper towel inside of the Ziploc bag so it helps absorb some of the moisture.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Never a problem. Yes, indeed. You don't know how many batches of mushrooms I bought, and I was like, yo, what in the world? What happened? Jesus.
Exactly.
Yeah, like these were just good yesterday. All right. Oh, we're making decent time. Okay. So dinner subs. I keep a lot of the same things. As far as the kamut flakes take a little while to cook, and you have to soak them because if you don't soak them, they're gonna take about a good 3 or 4 hours in order to cook, and sometimes you might have to cook them twice. So just keep that in mind if you are looking for kamut, which is pretty much wheat flakes. It's a different type of wheat. What's different here? Not much. Okay, well let me get to the recipe. All right. Okay. So for dinner subs or recipes, I actually had these for the first time. Yeah, I think I had it at your place, Sean, the banana blossoms. Yeah, I had them for the first time at Supreme Oasis. Yep. They were doing fish and grits one weekend. I tore that food up too.
Hey, yo, Clayton.
Yes.
It's Chad, brother. What's happening?
What's up, good brother?
Yo, last night I catch you up, man. We got to catch up because a lot of good things did happen last night, so we'll catch up. But if possible, man, some of the drinks you were talking about in the beginning, the burdock root drinks, mixing them with water and parsley and all of that, like you're gonna make sure that we get. Did you have? Because I was driving, so I really couldn't look at it. Did you have that on a slide?
Yeah, I can type it up as a slide too, and I'll make it available for you.
Yeah, because I'm really looking to get into those and like set them aside. I want that to be a part of my weekly going forward. Some of the things you were talking about with parsley and indigestion, all of that. Yeah, I want to get on that.
Oh, I got you. We definitely gonna catch up. I got a lot to share with you too, bro.
Yes, sir. Let's get it.
Yes, sir. So for dinner subs, as you can see, I tried to keep a lot of the ingredients kind of the same. Also to show you that you can make different dishes or different types of food literally from just combining different stuff in a different manner or combining the same ingredients in a different manner. So you'll see the hearts of palm or the artichokes, which is still up here, kelp flakes, the onion powder, which you need. So if you don't like onions, I love onions. So I actually just chop up my onions and put them into my foods instead of using onion powder. The salt, pepper, Old Bay, 1 cup of chickpea flour. The chickpea flour is going to be your binder so that you can make like fillets, okay? And I did want to point this out. After you make the fillets, then you can do one of two things. If you feel like your mix will hold up cooking, then you can pan fry these. If you feel like it might need a little bit of time to bind together, then you can actually place them into the freezer or into the refrigerator so that everything kind of solidifies, and then take it out, dredge it up, either put it in the oven to cook, or you can fry it up to cook, okay? But if you're trying to stay away from fried foods, I do suggest you put it in the oven because it'll just cook a little cleaner. When you fry foods, what happens is the water inside of the food is removed, or it's cooked out, or it's evaporated. So that's why, like, a lot of people will say, don't eat fried foods. And simply because if there's not a lot of water, it's a little bit harder for the food to break down or digest. And then I think I have one more. Yeah, one more recipe. Yep, this is the last one. So here we have a quinoa stir fry. Again, quinoa is a very easy grain, very good go-to grain. That's one of my favorites. So I always keep it on hand. As you can see, I use it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Yes, I love them too. I think I got that from you, Dad. But ginger root and the turmeric are going to be the star for this beautiful, lovely dish. And then if you can find vegan Worcestershire sauce, then of course go ahead by all means, utilize that. But one thing that I use all the time and I used to keep in my refrigerator when I was home would be the coconut aminos. Coconut aminos is just like soy sauce, but without the soy. Okay. It's not as salty. I will say that you can get it in different levels of flavors too. Some do have like the extra salt in it. And they pretty much cost almost just the amount, maybe $1 more than your typical soy sauce, depending on the sizes that you buy or whatever it is. But you prepare this just like you would a regular stir fry. But instead of using brown rice or instead of using white rice or yellow rice, you would just use the quinoa. Okay. So the main thing from a lot of these, from this presentation that I wanted us to see is you don't have to give up enjoying food, cooking food, eating food. The only thing you have to keep in mind is what you can sub out. What will make this dish a little bit healthier? Or what will make this dish a lot better or easier to digest? Okay. All right, so these are just, like I said, a few ingredients that I decided to keep on hand. Flax seeds are an excellent egg replacement. I'm using the 1-to-3 ratio. So if you have 1 tablespoon of flax seeds, then you need 3 tablespoons of water to mix up and make something similar to an egg. All right, so for all you people who are bakers out there, that would be something that would be really good for you to utilize. Bananas can be used as a binder as well. And some people will do a chia seed egg, but the chia seed egg doesn't bind as well as the flaxseed egg does. And you want whole flax seeds. Do not get milled flax seeds. If you get milled flax seeds, it's not bad, but you get more of the nutrients released if you get whole flax seeds and then you blend them, cook them, or let them soak in water or grind them immediately. When you get the flax seeds milled, that oil, which is what you want from the flaxseed, is released prematurely. That way it kind of gets, some of the nutrients get lost, okay? I love red onion. Red onion is excellent for moving lymph throughout your system too, especially if you can eat it fresh. So I usually will have an avocado salad. I love avocados. I can eat them things by the pound. But I'll throw my red onions in there or my raw red onions in there. Get those minerals and nutrients from that as well. My usual sweeteners: maple syrup, date syrup, honey, agave, coconut sugar, or date sugar. Quinoa is my go-to grain. Coconut milk or cream for any kind of creamer that I may want, even if you drink coffee. If you don't want to use regular creamer, then coconut creamer is going to be your next best thing. Hemp seeds for people who want to, work out and would like to, who are concerned with their protein intake. Hemp seeds are going to be super important for you. Grapeseed or avocado oil to cook. You can cook with those oils. Olive oil, hemp oil, flax oil, or pumpkin oil should only be used raw. Do not heat them up because you will break down a lot of their mineral nutrient content. And then you kind of don't want rancid oil. It's not going to taste that good. They don't have a high heating point. So if you push them up too high, they actually taste burnt. So I'm telling you from experience, it does not taste good. And it'll make you be like, oh, I hate olive oil. It's not the olive oil. You just got to treat it different. All right. And then, of course, the ingredients to the right with the chickpeas, walnuts, mushrooms, leafy greens every day. Every day. I think on the next Zoom live, which will probably be in a couple weeks. It's not going to be back to back. We're going to talk about different reasons, different ways your body lets you know that you need to give it some attention, as well as like some things you should ask the doctors. So we're going to talk about those things. Avocados are great to have on hand. Chickpea flour, buckwheat flour, teff flour, various flours. All right. Okay. All right. So that pretty much was the bulk of what I have for today. Right now, it's almost 9 o'clock, but we do have some time for some questions. So if you have anything that you would like to bring to the table, please go ahead and do so.
I have a question. I don't have I try to do the easiest meals that I could think of when it comes to making dinners and stuff. So I'm definitely not on the level that you are when it comes to like just being able to make everything, because that's what it seems like the healthiest option is being able to get those raw foods and be able to make it. So what are some ingredients that we should stay away from when we are unfortunately buying from processed things, even when it comes to like almond milk? Like if we see this certain ingredient, don't get it. Or if we're looking at juices, if you see this certain ingredient, don't get it.
Okay. Number one ingredient that I'm gonna say to stay away from, especially when it comes to juices or anything sweet, or even anything that's like fried, corn syrup. No corn syrup. Zero corn syrup.
Okay, that's across the board. Anything that has corn syrup, don't get it.
Yes, zero corn syrup. Anything that has red, yellow, or blue dye, it'll say like red 40, yellow 40, blue 30, or anything like that, stay away from it.
Okay.
You want none of that. If you, and tell me if I'm moving too fast for you too.
Nope, I got it down.
If you are consuming, let me make sure. If you are one that is trying to stay away from if you are watching your sugar intake, anything with an os or a cos at the end, so a sucrose, dextrose, sorry, they're just different ways or different names for sugar.
Right.
Okay. And I'm sorry, there's one more that I definitely need to say, but I'm trying to get the. Okay. This one I would stay away from too, and I do see it on a lot of Oh no, I don't. Sorry, not that one.
Where it started the first way.
I think those will probably be the most the ones that come to mind right now that I would definitely stay away from.
Okay.
If you are trying to, like I said before, if you're trying to fast, various like gums, like guar gum, xanthan gum, what's the other gum? I would stay away from those gums because again, if you're fasting, then 9 times out of 10, your purpose is to cleanse or to lose weight or to try to get rid of whatever shouldn't be inside of your body. And you want that expelling process to be as quick as possible. So stay away from any gums. And you will find those in like some of your almond milks. Yeah. Or even some of like I've even found them in some of the like what you call it? Like egg replacements that are plant-based and stuff like that.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, it'll be in quote unquote healthy foods though. Like that's most of the stuff that you mentioned, like it'll be in the healthier foods. That's why I said it seems like you just need to be making the stuff on your own, because even the quote unquote healthy has these bad things in it. But let me
Yeah.
not take too much of your time. My second question is like KJ has like bad eczema. Is there anything specifically, probably besides the sugar, that we should be staying away from for him as well?
Um, I probably will have to ask you like what exactly he's like eating. Because with eczema, yeah, that's gonna be a little different. He's young too. So eczema usually shows up because the like blood needs to be cleansed or purified. Now that could be for a number of different reasons. Sometimes it could be a reaction to something that he is putting on his skin, or
Right.
sometimes it could be a reaction to what he's consuming or eating. But me, you can talk about that as well because I'll have to ask you some other stuff too.
All right, cool, no problem.
Okay. All right.
What is teff flower? I saw that at the end of the last slide. I've never heard of that.
So teff flour too is teff is another grain. I actually found it or heard about it. I've seen it used in Ethiopian restaurants. There's one Ethiopian restaurant over on Baltimore Ave out here in Philly. They fry their mushrooms in teff flour. Yeah, they fry their mushrooms in teff flour.
I have to look that up.
It's pretty. Theirs came out really good. Theirs teff flour is a little more earthy than like actual regular flour. It actually reminds me of buckwheat flour a little bit as far as its
Okay.
taste.
Is it more of a like coarse, like a wheat grain? Like it's more coarser? Okay.
Yeah, yeah. That's one thing I will be honest. I do miss like some of the textures of other flours, like before being plant-based or vegan. Some of the textures aren't very forgiving. All right. Any other questions? Okay.
Oh, one last thing. Were there any like contraindications like between so when we do like our smoothies and adding like the roots, are all of those okay together? Like all the herbs and the roots that you talked about, they are okay to like mix together?
In your smoothies?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Yes. Yep. Oh, never a problem. All right. Well, I really do appreciate you all spending your time on Sunday with me to listen to this information. Like I said, we're not going to do the next Sunday. I probably will either shoot for the following Sunday or sorry, let me get my dates right. So it'll either be May 21st or May 28th that we'll be doing this again. And I'll be shouting out the topics that we're going to be doing on my Instagram page. And thank you all. Thank you all very much. And may you have a very good night. Peace.
Thank you.
Yes,
Have a
indeed.
good night.
You do the same.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Yes, have a good night.
Good
Peace.
night, everyone.
Peace. I'm glad you caught one too.